These feeds have been ass all day, but I do finally have something I can update you on. Last update I gave, I was telling you about Haley and Kamu pitching the idea to Dee and Devins about keeping Melody over Lyric if Drew wins the blockbuster. Now, Dee and Devins at the time were kind of like, I don't know, we still need to take some kind of a shot at Drew, so I don't know that Lyric leaving is going to be the best bet. If we can't get Drew, then we need to get Melody. But now, after seeing how close Lyric is with Chuck and Kamu and even Yash, because Yash is not wanting Lyric to go. He is very, very close with Lyric, very close with Lyric. They're kind of like, oh, maybe Lyric needs to go even over Drew. So Dee and Devins were just having a conversation about the possibility of how to keep Drew in the game. They have tossed out the idea of maybe letting him know that this target has shifted to him, and then that way he can kind of work on getting some additional votes. They were interrupted in the middle of this conversation, but where they had kind of left things is that Devins needs to talk to Barrett and Dee needs to talk to Angela. I don't know that Angela is going to get on board with this. However, part of their concern is Lyric's close proximity to Yash. And I did mention a couple days ago that Angela's next spiral target was going to be Yash, and I was correct. Angela has said multiple times this week that she wants Yash out of the game. If she wins HOH, that's who she's targeting, blah, 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 blah. So it's really just going to depend on, does Angela dislike Yash enough in this moment to go ahead and keep Drew to knock Yash down a peg, or is she still just too focused on Drew? I really feel like that's what it's going to come down to, but we are definitely on watch right now for some things to potentially get shaken up here. Drew is one of the people that ended up coming in the hot tub room as well. I think that he did okay in that conversation. He led with the fact that he is biased when it comes to the Melody and Lyric vote. Obviously, he would love for Melody to stay, but he also did give them some pretty good information about how both Melody and Mallory would be targeting Chuck, Thog, and Timu before they come for any of the icons, and reasons why. We might actually have some things to watch coming up soon, rather than feeling like I'm watching paint dry. So I'll keep you updated. Some people are probably going to say that the vote flip is dead. I am not one of those people. There's been a lot that has happened over these last couple hours, so let's dive into it all. In my last video, I told you that Dee and Devins have decided that maybe keeping Drew isn't such a bad idea. They left that conversation saying that Devins was going to talk to Barrett about it, Dee was going to talk to Angela about it, and see what the four of them kind of thought. Really, the biggest thing is they know that Drew is going to be closer to them than he is going to be to the red corner part of the tool shed. So that's kind of where the incentive is. They feel the same way about Melody. Lyric, they don't feel that way. So Angela and Dee did have a conversation about it, and in that conversation, Angela seemed all on board, except she was concerned about them burning the red corner, because what if one of them wins HOH again? They don't want to burn them if they're going to be in power. So Dee said that maybe they can come up with a plan. They have all the rest of tonight, all day tomorrow, to come up with a plan to pitch something to them last minute on Thursday, so that they don't have a ton of time to put much thought into it. And that'll be, how they can get them on board. Dee does agree that they kind of need to be on board for this to all work out okay. So a little bit of time passes, and then Dee, Devins, and Angela are all able to meet up in the gym. Devins has not had a chance to discuss this with Barrett yet. And in this conversation, really, Angela and Devins don't seem as on board as the first time that Dee pitched the idea. Kind of seemed like the plan was all going to fall apart. They were all for it. Devins was like, I'm bored, so let's do something crazy. And then the more time that they discussed and thought about it, the more they were like, I don't know if there's enough benefit that outweighs the potential problems that this is going to cause for us with the red corner people if they come in power, plus with our other alliance people like Yash, people that we're close to that seem mostly on board with getting Drew out, because Devins did kind of put some feelers out with Yash, and Yash was pretty adamant that he feels burned by Drew and would like to see him leave this week. So I'm sure at that point a lot of people said, oh, the plan is dead in the water. But if you were watching that conversation, you could tell Dee was very bummed that this plan got shot down ultimately. And then Dee has a conversation with Lyric. Lyric is obviously kind of doing some rounds. Finally, I was going to include in my update that Lyric is only relying on Chuck and Kamu to do her campaigning on her behalf, and we saw how well that worked out for the Renom situation. But tonight she has finally started doing some one-on-ones on her own, one of them being with Dee. And honestly, Dee told her a lot of information, and I see this going a couple of different ways. This is either going to be ammo for Dee to use for the Drew flip to happen, or she planted enough seeds so that if Lyric comes in power, she's definitely targeting Chuck, Kamu, and Haley. Dee basically tells her that Chuck and Kamu are not helping you out. In fact, they're targeting you. They want you to leave this week. They are not campaigning for you to stay. They feel like they've already burned you, and so you're going to come after them if you come into power. So they're like, we might as well just get her out now while we have the chance. But they're still pretending to you like you have them and like they want to work with you in case you win the blockbuster. I mean, she was throwing them under the bus hard. And then she says to Lyric, I have a plan. Go to them and tell them that you want to nominate me if you come into power. So she's telling Lyric to tell Chuck, Haley, and Kamu that she plans to nominate Dee if she comes into power. And Lyric is basically like, that sounds like a bad idea because aren't you like working with them? Dee tries to say that she's not. Honestly, Haley let some things slip in the conversation with Lyric the other night about some of her alliances, some of those including the icons. So I think if Lyric remembers that, then she knows for sure Dee is kind of lying in this moment, at least about some things. But if Lyric does follow at least portions of Dee's plan, she's going to end up making herself an even bigger target. And they were already kind of considering voting her out anyways, like Dee wasn't totally lying. And that's going to work in Dee's favor whenever it comes to trying to do this vote flip to save Drew, especially if it ends up being Drew and Lyric, which I think is honestly probably the least likely voting scenario we have. I think a lot of people, even on the inside, are really thinking that it is either going to be Drew or Lyric that ends up winning the blockbuster. So I don't know. I'm just here to say that all hope is not lost when it comes to this vote flip. Tomorrow is Waffle Wednesday. Today just feels like it was the preparation before we actually start putting the waffles on the waffle iron. As I was editing that video, I realized I forgot to give you guys a Thog update. I know that's what you guys live for. So, Thog update. After Angela and Dee talk, and they say that even though they don't want to actually get Red Corner on board with this vote flip quite yet, they do agree that they need to start kind of planting some seeds. And so they agree that with Haley, they need to plant the seed that like Melody is going to be coming after Haley like really, really hard because they just don't get along. They don't like each other. We all know. After this, Angela goes up to the gym with Haley while she's working out, and Angela's trying to plant these seeds, right? But Haley is just so full of herself that it doesn't work. She tells Angela, number one, that she's not worried about Melody coming after her because Melody can't win any competitions. And Angela kind of combats this with saying, well, but she's also very close with Mallory. That's like her best friend in the house. And Mallory can definitely win competition. So you don't think that like Mallory will come after you on her behalf? Haley tells Angela that she knows that this next week, Mallory is going to be coming to Haley to start an alliance. She just knows it. And Angela's just like, oh, okay. And then she tells her that she's not worried about Melody coming into power. She's not worried about the fact that Melody is targeting her, because she's the one and only person in the whole house that is targeting Haley, because Haley has been so kind to everyone this week that no one is coming after her. I mean, it is just Melody because she is a mean girl. Also, all week she's been going around saying that all the girls in the house hate Melody. Meanwhile, every time she's saying that, all the girls are in the pod room with Melody, like laughing and joking about how much they can't stand Haley. She also tells Angela, to Angela's face, that like they were talking about how Lyric and Mallory both have a potential chance of winning the wall if that's what the HOH competition is. And she literally says to Angela that she feels like Chuck or Devins are going to win HOH this week. Her intuition is telling her that. And Angela's like, oh, not me. And she's like, no, I think you'll get one at some point. It'll be like one of those competitions where it's just like a shit show, a crapshoot. Like you just got lucky and won one. Like that's the kind of competition that's suited for you. She also tells Angela that there's no way Dee wins another competition the rest of the season.